What's up everybody? Today guys, we're going to be fixing a code we're having on our truck that's telling us our def heater is bad. Affiliate links for tools and the part down in the description in case you guys are just getting started. Shameless merch plug, don't forget to check your 6.0 Bros merch down in the merch shelf below. Okay, we're getting started taking these 3 bolts out. Then we're going to remove the cap to this. This is the fill hose for your def fluid. Got to remove this so we can pull it all the way through. Just to show you guys, so we put the cap on, not this little plastic piece, because it's going to have to come off again. But we put that on because it has to go over our frame rail to get the tank out. I'm not disconnecting it from the actual tank itself. Watch your paint there. Now I'm going to start taking out some of these bolts. There's 3 you're going to see me remove here, and then there's 1 off screen you kind of see me start messing with. I get a better shot of where that is in another clip here in just a moment. Okay, the picture on the left here is if you're lying on your back looking up at the truck, there's a bolt that needs to come out. I'll point that out. And then the other picture is of the rear of the def tank. There's 2 bolts that hold it in place. You will need to remove them as well to get it down. Picture of the top of the def tank here. There's a connector off to the left that needs to be removed. And this tube on the right is to the nozzle. Both of those will need to be disconnected prior to taking down the def tank. Here you see me just kind of finishing the removal of this tank for maintenance here. So I do have a jack underneath it to help with the weight so it's not pulling on any connections I may have forgotten. And then I do go back in and kind of remove, I believe it's the nozzle at this point. I take that off. So the jack was helpful. It did kind of move my camera out of the way there a little bit, but all in all, I would recommend putting something to support its weight as you remove it. All right, so on top here, you want to kind of try to dust this off the best you can, maybe some compressed air. Use your air compressor, blow this all off if you can. It's still gonna look kind of dirty because it lives under your truck. Anyway, there's 3 4mm, I believe, Allen screws there that hold this in place. And the biggest thing I do want to stress, this all needs to go back in the right order. So this pump, here's where the this is the nozzle that goes to the line that actually pushes the def fluid into the exhaust system. So notice this is in line with where your fill hoses go. So when we put this back together, we want to make sure that this pump is sitting like this. I thought I had these in like a socket, and I don't, so that sucks. If you're looking to make this easier on yourself, when you get that socket, get an extended shank on it. Don't get one of the short guys, because these are right against the plastic here. Oh, this one should be super fun. Little hack here, when you don't have enough to get on here, if you take I mean, normally I try to make sure it fits this, but I wasn't going and getting the right size. But this with an extension makes your life a lot easier. Now, full disclosure, new kit comes with new ones of those screws there, so it's not the end of the world if you mess them up, but I am kind of partial to trying not to mess that stuff up. One thing I do recommend, if you need it, take pictures of what you're removing. It's super helpful. I mean, hopefully this video helps anyone that does kind of goof up the alignment on this. Now we should be able to rock this back and forth. The new kit comes with new zip ties, so you can cut these if you want, which we're probably going to. We'll show the underside of that in a moment. Yeah, so the new kit I have actually replaces this ring, and comes with all new of those zip ties. So we're gonna snip all of these. That one's already broken. So we're gonna snip here, which will take this off. And then we're gonna disconnect this plug here. There we go. Here's the underside of the pump. My understanding is if this is replaced, there's some kind of priming process. I don't really know anything about that, so I can't speak to it. But our pump is fine, so we're not replacing it. Here's what kind of sucks. Is they have a special tool to take this off that I don't have. So we're gonna try the old hammer, a little tap tap, tappity tap tap to try to get this off. And hopefully we don't break it. I mean, realistically, if we break it, it's not the end of the world because we have a new one. That's actually a decent copy of the Ford one. All right, this might be the dumbest thing you see all day, but I got my favorite hammer. I went with, I mean, it's a small pry bar. One of the few Snap-on tools I owned. I bought it used for a great deal, like 10 bucks on eBay. You want the bigger edge than just a small screwdriver. If you only have a screwdriver, pick your biggest one you have. And I kind of pinch it in between my legs. And that worked. Like I said, maybe the dumbest thing you do, but it works. Again, guys, this is important. Make sure you have the alignment of this correct. There's a few random markings here you can use. So here's the vent. You can put the vent lines up right with this circle. They have it just pointed this way. You have a screw hole that lines up perfectly with this dash. So find it on yours and mark it. Get a marker and mark it as well, whatever you need. We're going to get a small screwdriver to start prying that up. I'll be right back. So we're going to start just kind of working in here. I wanted actually a smaller screwdriver, but couldn't find it, and just start working it around. Again, remember where stuff lines up. So my vent here with this circle, screw to the right of it. All right. What's funny is this is pretty full and my truck says it's empty, so I think this piece is probably pretty goofed up at this point. So when we take this piece completely out, we're gonna pop it in here. So we just wanna have this ready so we're not making a massive mess everywhere. But before that can come out, we have to start working this gasket out. Which again, we'll probably just use the screwdriver here. So you want to work this out once it's completely out. Be careful to get as little crap in your tank as possible. Clean it if you need to. All right, big mistake. I thought I was filming and I was not. But we have this in. So what I want to talk about is that gasket piece on the outside. So we got two pieces here. This lower piece, the upper piece, technically three, because there's this gasket. You want this gasket to sit on the outside of this lower piece in that tank, and then you start working it down until this lip sits flush against this, and then you can start putting this top piece in. And you want to be careful to make sure you don't press it in, that you don't curl any of this up. You want it all to sit just like that. The other thing to do, take a look at our old piece here. So we have our vent right here. That's what this is. This has a piece for the vent. Actually, it also has a replacement piece to go in there. This was just a kit on Amazon I found that seemed to be decent. So here it is, just pops on, nothing special there, works perfect. Again, there's a replacement, and it actually comes with a second O-ring, so that's really nice, just in case something happens to this one. Now, I did not use these, but I do like that they come with it. They come with pieces to plug stuff up so debris can't get in. On your pump, so something to keep in consideration. We're kind of past most of that. Our next piece is our pump. There's a big O-ring and a small one. Big O-ring and small. And they'll go on the top here, so very easy to see which is which. You want to press these in. And make sure they're actually all the way in. Seen guys, they want to put gaskets on, but they don't get them all the way in. All right, we're going to take this ring and put this back on. You might have to turn your vent out of the way a little bit at first. All right, so I did lower it on the ground again to give this a little more tight, and it's all good. I didn't hit it with the hammer. I don't think I need to. I do kind of wish I had the piece to tighten this correctly. It would make life a little simpler, and I feel like I was doing the job slightly better, but in a pinch, I think this is more than adequate. Adequate. More than adequate would be having the piece to do it. So, now that I actually have everything on, turn this back, and we'll start getting this set up. And remember, this port here that feeds the nozzle is to go in line here. And you can kind of see these pieces underneath fitting in to their respective O-rings. And that looks good there. We will start getting these put back in now. And I like to just get everything in loose and then tighten afterwards. And again, it does come with some of these zip ties here, which actually are pretty nice. They'll mount on the actual cap itself, so there's like 4 or 5 of these. So you want to just put these on. It helps hold this lumen against this, so that's really all we're trying to do at that point. Yeah, anyway, so we're gonna get this back in the truck. If there's any real important notes, I'll tell you. Just to show you one more time, this is how it sits in the truck. This is the back, so there's 2 bolts here. There's this bolt here we take off. There's a bolt here, and then there's other ones on the outside of the frame. This is what sits on the outside. You guys saw a pretty good shot of taking those off. You missed this one and this one. This is what presses in here is for the nozzle that connects over here. So anyway, that's that part so far. I'm gonna get this back together. Like I said, if there's anything important to show you, I will. All right guys, so everything went back together really smoothly. Getting it kind of up in place was tough. So what I did is I actually had to jack my truck up. Use your jack stands as well for safety. And that way I could actually slide it in and out. Getting it out, I had a hard time. I jacked it up. Putting it back in, obviously needed to. But then I kind of set the whole thing on my chest. You could empty it. That is another option. If you have something you could put it in, then you could refill, but I did not, and I didn't feel like dealing with wasting it, especially when the truck needs it. So that is an option, which would make a lot of the install much easier. But basically I set it on my chest, put it up in place. Sorry, I moved the camera at the same time. Got one bolt in and kind of kept holding it up, grabbed another, got 2 in, then I could kind of give it a little break while I started getting everything else ready and put into place for it. I forget mine off the top of my head. I'm going to put it right here though. But yeah, that's that. Install done. Not a bad project. Filming always takes a little bit longer, but honestly, 2 hours for someone that's never really done it before. It could take longer if you're taking your time, if you're really a novice, but definitely something that is capable to be done at home by just about anybody. So I'm a big believer in investing some tools that save yourself a lot of money down the road. Of course, if you're super uncomfortable, pay a professional. There's a lot of good people out there doing this kind of work. So anyway, guys, thank you. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys have had one of these codes associated with this issue and this not fix it, please let me know, or what's been your experience with some of the cheaper DEF heaters out there like I use, just an Amazon special, drop those comments down below so we can all learn together, and I'll see you in the next upload.